Here we go. Once again, this time I'm having a more difficult time making a long video. I usually do my 1 hours, my 2 hours, my 3 hours videos, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that, and that's what we're gonna get doing with XYZ, and that's right here with the mountain. We're gonna get it on the mountain, and here's my second home, my mistress, you know, so that's why we gotta get it on the go. So that's why we gotta get on the doers now, on the doers you know, because sometimes you just gotta do, you know, and put it into practice, the application of fitness, and whew, I feel good now. I feel really good, and I always love you coming here to my second home, my mistress, not just mine, because it's not just my mountain, but it's mine, yours, ours, and put in the work, you know. Hey, pledge your allegiance to our family is the song. Pledge your allegiance to our family is the song. Pledge your allegiance, friends with benefits only. Thanks for understanding. To our family, and encouraging all to work out, train, exercise. Gonna commence begin with gratitude again, as in other videos. Although this is gonna be like the 4th, 5th video in a row, you know, because my camera just went off, blipped, zipped, and those I gotta work with this work tool as I'm doing this work, and calling all willing, living to send some LOV together, because it's not all about me or you. We gotta be some solidarity in the individual and the collective. Send some LOVE to the truckers on the road, nurses, doctors, firefighters, plumbers, electricians, those daycares who change some diapers today, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, the carpenters, always come marching to the mountain, coming here for them as well. The workers who made less than 50,000, Canada, US joint, North American here, Quebec or Canadian, for the workers who made less than 50,000. Let's get that North American collective workers party as I freestyle rock and roll march dance. Made it already been about 2 hours in the march today, and snow shoveled twice, and we gotta get it on that terrain, because it's a storm of the century. Storms. It's gonna pick up again later by the time I get home by midnight. I guess I should be home by midnight, so it's always gotta be with gratitude, you know. Grateful, thankful, rent's paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee, and I always love you to see citizens here to get it on the do, and getting on the doers, exercising, fitness, do some skiing and some sliding and some skating, you know. It is Thursday the 6th of February, so marking 5 years, starting to begin today, marking 5 years since I survived COVID. I had COVID 3 times, once in 2020, right at the beginning, before it was known as COVID, and I was like death, pestilence, and disease. It was like death, pestilence, and disease, death, pestilence, and disease, you know. So that's what it is with that, you know. So it is what it is, and that's what it is for the LOVE on the go, you know. So it is what it is on the go. So that's what we gotta get doing on the new, right here on the mountain, you know. Something which here, you know, is like celebrating 5 years also since I concluded that humanity is against set towards an international conflagration back in 2019. In 2019, that's what I concluded. Humanity is set towards an international conflagration, you know, and so created my workout training program system back then in 2019 to go hand in hand with the World War III scenario. And here the flags is on the go. I got the big backpack, red big backpack on the back, proof. It's got about more than 44 pounds. I got some Hava, some Quas, and those red gloves, because it's a Dragon vs. Trump special edition, you know, and has been him, and we'll continue to challenge Donald Trump, you know, to a boxing match. We'll continue to challenge Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border, you know, as have been, you know, and still am. And here I made it to the top of the mountain, you know. Mount Israel, that two-headed, you know. L-O-R-D, horse-headed, two-headed. And I put the United States flag in there, and the flag of the dragon, and the flag of the dancing goddess flag, that 7-pointed star, parallel with the dragon flag there. That's what we need to be doing, and that's how we need to be that protocol with that. That's what we need to be protocoling with that, and that's what we need to be doing, you know. Just adding some flags, adding some color here at the top of the Belvedere, my second home. Top of the Belvedere, my second home. Top of the Belvedere here, my second home, and the headquarters of the dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom, which I'm laying the foundations for 718 trillions of kisses. 718 trillions of kisses. You heard that right? 718 trillions of kisses. Created from the forgotten goddess. Created from the forgotten goddess. I created my surviving COVID in 2020, marking 5 years, celebrating 5 years since I survived COVID in February, March 2020. February, March, early March. So I will to build the forgotten goddess, or the goddess of a million, billion, trillion names on the Canadian-US border, along with the North American People's Imperial Coliseum. Here it is, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, and the scarlet, crimson, scarlet are shades of red. The pyramid, House of the Dragon somewhere here. And the Rainbow People's Palace, and that is my favorite skyscraper. We made it to the top, sending some LOV to the firefighters, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, plumbers, and the electricians, and all those, of course, involved in the production, distribution of food here at the Conjurnac Belvedere. Gotta go for those beautiful lights. Gotta give some LOV to the Hydro-Quebec workers of Hydro-Quebec. That's why we got these lights, you know. With the Hydro-Quebec, we wouldn't have all these lights. Civilization is a privilege, and that is my favorite skyscraper, that pyramid. I wonder who built it, but that's really my favorite skyscraper, is that one with the pyramid. That is what it is there, so that's what it is, the pyramid. Anyways, let's go all the way around the bottom, getting back to headquarters, and somebody making LOV. It has the hope. And somebody kissing, somebody making LOV, that's good. A couple there, so a couple is always good, and love that. I'm androgynous pansexual, so you know, I do black, white, men, women, black, white, men, women, black, white, rainbow, black, men, black, women, white men, white women, all sorts, black, white, and all rainbow. Being androgynous pansexual, I meant, you know, that well, I love all sorts of love, you know, straight love, gay love, homo love. If you come for LOV, if you're black or white or men or women, or black or white or whatever, rainbow, whatever, can come love to me, but Rainbow Dragon. But I'm gonna card you like, you know, at the liquor store. The card you like at the liquor store. I'm gonna give you a card like not just like the liquor store, but at the club. So gotta be that 18 plus. Wanna come LOV with me? FRE about that 93, live and die. By that 93. Live and die. Survived COVID 2020, and I'm happy now, joyous. I saw a couple there in the storm, you know, it's a stormy day, so they came, they were kind of making out and kissing, so I didn't want to start rock and rolling there at the top. I kind of wanted to, but you see the lights from here, so I'm gonna do some rock and roll from here. Rock and roll for the bakers, butchers, nurses, doctors, and firefighters, truckers, electricians, plumbers, grocery store clerks, all those involved in the production, distribution of food, all those involved in the production, distribution of food, all those flipping some burgers, some cheeseburgers. I'm joyous now, happy. I saw somebody making love, making out, so I can die happy, but not my will to die tonight. Not tonight, Dragon Army. Not tonight, Dragon Army. Not tonight, Dragon Army. Pledge your allegiance, Dollar family. So, because what are we fighting to say for? You know, is somebody not making love tonight? Hugging, kissing, you know. What are we fighting to say for? Civilization, you know, Wall Street, billionaires, butchers, you know. That's what makes me happy, you know. Don't waste time following some fool's orders, you know. So that's what it is with that. So and again, that's worth fighting for, you know, being armed, carrying a weapon for, defending that, you know, somebody making out the night, not just the Wall Street clique, not just the Wall Street clique, not just the Wall Street clique. Anyways, my DRT theory best, debt refusion theory, you know, I'm happy I saw, I guess, 2 couples, you know, coming in the store. I guess I'm gonna see a third one maybe. I'm gonna propose again, but a special open BDSM switch marriage, you know, alliance, but need to get the ring myself. But anyways, here I am, Tamaro, my second home, and I'm always joyous when I come here. I'm joyous now, content, just financially stressed, living with my scars, my trauma, but hey, it's not all about me. Truck is on the road now, maybe they got some stress. Firefighters, nurses, hey, Wall Street billionaires. I've been craving a massage therapy session, which I cannot afford, but finance the firefighters instead. They deserve it. They earn it more than me, you know. They deserve it. They earn it more than me. Firefighters, you know. They deserve it, earn it more than me. The firefighters, the butchers, those picking up the garbage, sanitation workers, you know. The sanitation workers, you know. So, friends of sanitation workers, finance them. I'm gonna pick up the compost today, the recycling, you know. The compost, the recycling, the garbage, 3 services I got in my neighborhood. Takes that public and that private, my dream, the dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom, which I'm laying the foundations right from this mountain with trillions of kisses. For all my willing, loving allies and armies, pledge your allegiance to our family. For all my willing, loving allies and armies, pledge your allegiance to our family. For all my willing, loving allies and armies, pledge your allegiance to our family. And grateful, thankful, rents paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee, and in the red backpack, which I'm auctioning for $1 million, to give half, 50% to my anonymous friend, pay my $10,000 debt, and along with the underwear, the socks, the hoodie, auctioning everything that I'm wearing on, even the socks, all of it, $1 million each item, the backpack, the hat, the gloves, got a few millions, I guess. Gonna give 50% half to my anonymous friends with benefits only from now on, and celebrating 5 years since I survived COVID, marking 5 years since 2019, October, November, and I predicted an international conflagration based on my analysis, because that's what I am, an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, an artist, an athlete, philosopher, and mystic. Was born in the United States post 76, once as a woman, twice as a man, served in the same U.S. Army as a man. 156 years apart, you get that 50-50 now. Adrian Dragon, keep my name out of your mouth if it's not for a blessing. Make some LOVE. Hug like you never hugged before with consent, and give some charity millionaires, and billionaires finance the firefighters, those public workers picking up the garbage, the recycling, the sanitation. Finance them a massage therapy session, you know, I could go without. I'm gonna take a bath, you know, to compensate, and that's gonna be my compensation, and here, you know, atop the mountain, you know, top the mountain is, you get less illusions, you know. You get less illusions here. On top of the mountain here, my second home, Mount Royal, Belvedere, Conjurenac, the forest roundabout, you know, there's less illusions. A lot of the illusions kind of been breaking down whenever I come here, you know, in the midst of civilization, the second most populated city in Canada, Montreal, 2.5 million people, and 8 metropolis, top 10 metropolis, big population, 2.5 million people on the island, Montreal, aka Hawk Island, on the island of Montreal, big population. So whenever I come here, I get, you know, you get less illusions, you know, kind of the illusions have been breaking down, you know, and you kind of get, you have to be not necessarily subordinate to the goddess Mother Nature, but kind of work in harmony, you know, as a friend, but as a friend, you know, to getting a little bit of that XYZ with that, and getting a little bit on that XYZ in midst of the parallels, for the interjection of the certain laws of nature, certain laws of nature. As we go amidst the big changes, I've been myself through pain, blood, sweat, tears, trauma, scars, trauma, tears, scars, and not just financially stressed, and survived COVID 2020, survived being surprise attack a few years ago. Fell, hit my head, dislocated arm, and that's what I is with that. That's what I is, what I am now, and that's what I gotta get doing now. So it's something which I gotta be mindful of. That civilization is a privilege. Having electricity. Thank you, Hydro-Quebec. Workers of the past, present, electricity, highways, running water, internet. All these are, civilization is a privilege. I've written a thesis. My thesis back in 2023 is the privilege of civilization, The privilege of civilization, the privilege of civilization, the privilege of civilization. And I'm a piece of dust. I'm not nobody. Clit dick, dip, limp dick, clit dick, little scar, rainbow, blah blah. But my Trinity of theories is most important, because that's gold. And my total mobile defense theory system for the North American Collective 21st century, that is also gold. Because being an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, that's what I do on the daily. Geopolitics is my kingdom, my realm. And Aspies, we have special interests, also known as obsessive interests. But for us, obsessive, I'm not going to utilize that terminology, because obsessive has a more negative connotation, while special focus interests, we dedicate many hours daily, and sometimes I lose myself. Today I spent like 6 hours just with 2 cups of coffee doing some laundry and revising geopolitical events back and forth of leaders, diplomats, specifically with the North American Collective in mind, because of course because of the tariffs, looming threat of 25% tariffs, which would be very painful, very hardcore for the Canadian economy, which 80% of our exports are depending on the U.S. markets. 80% of our exports are depending on the U.S. market, so 80% of our exports are dependent on the U.S. markets, and 25%, so that's what it's gonna be doing with that, and that's what we're gonna be doing with the XYZ here as we interject, as we go on the left and on the right, and here we get on the X and on the Y, and to get a little bit of that vision, which includes my dream, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, which is fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership, fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership across the collective. And now I'm going to discuss the DRT theory. Super important that I discuss the debt refusion theory now. So the debt refusion theory is my theory, of course. Stands for D debt, R refusion, T theory, and is fundamentally the only solution which at this point in time can quite save us from where we are now with the public financial system, due to the fact that we pay 46.5 billion in interest. 46.5 billion in interest on the public debt. That's how much we pay on the public debt. 46.5 billion in interest. So that is why I'm making the statement that my DRT theory, standing for debt refusion theory, or something very, very similar to my theory, is this theory which can save us from the financial catastrophe which is on the horizon very fast, very soon. It could happen any day now. And because we pay 46.5 billion in interest, and in 2021 we paid 20.3 billion. 20.3 billion double is 40.6 billion. 20.3 double is 40.6. 20.3 billion double is 40.6. 20.3 billion, double is 40.6. So that means that more than double is 46.5 billion, 46.5 billion, that's 46.5 billion. That is the amount which we pay on the debt. 20.3 times 2, that's 40.6. Right? So it more than doubled. Just debt servicing, in other words, paying the interest on the public debt. Paying the interest on the public debt. More than doubled, right? Keep that in mind. More than doubled. More than double. Imagine consequently, as an individual citizen, as an individual citizen, myself, of course, as a citizen, citizen. If my debt or your debt, I don't have credit cards, but somebody who has credit cards, like say yours, mine, or somebody, citizen X, payment of the interest, debt servicing, paying the interest, if it would have doubled, if paying the interest would have doubled, let's say from 156 to 333, then automatically by default, well, if the salary does not double, and how many salaries have doubled? Very few. There have been labor movements and strikes, and salaries have increased on average in the past 5 years. Average only 4.4%. Average only 4.4%. Average only 4.4%. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. So maybe increase by 5, 10, 15%. Very few salaries have doubled in actuality, in truth and facts, right? So if the interest doubles, however, if the interest payments double, right, automatically that means, see, that's the other peak of the mountain. That's the other peak of the mountain. Automatically that means that one has to reduce the costs. One has to reduce the costs. One has to reduce the costs, you know. So one has to reduce the costs of the spending. So you might have to cut Netflix, Disney, buying less cheese, less wine, less chocolate, less whatever. One has to, if the interest payments double, you have to cut in the spending, you have to cut the budget, sometimes drastically, if it doubles. This is exactly the same principle, mathematical financial principle, to what happened with the public debt. It increased from 20.3 billion debt servicing, paying the interest on the public debt of Canada, from 20.3 billion to 46.5 billion, to 46.5 billion, to 46.5 billion. So 20.3 times 2, that's 40.6, right? That's 40.6. That's 40.6. So that means that it increased, it more than doubled to 46.5, to 46.5, to 46.5, to 46.5. So that is, whatever the case may be. So that means that increased to such an amount, was so big, that it more than doubled, meaning that the GDP of Canada, how much did the economy increase? Of course, it only increased by 1%, by 2, by 3. So it went into negative last November. So sometimes it even has a negative increase, decrease. The economy even goes negative, recession, right? So no, the GDP of Canada, the economy of Canada has not doubled. I think it doubled only in the past more than 44 years, maybe 50 years, since 1971 or something, right? It takes decades for an economy to double. For certain exceptions, such as smaller countries which discover oil and then they have foreign investments, FDI, foreign direct investment, FDI, foreign direct investment, and of course they have that foreign direct investment, and then they have the capital to work with, you know. And the economy doubled. Let's say like United Arab Emirates, for example, maybe their economy doubled in the past 2 decades. But other than that, most economies, it takes decades. Even China, it took more than 44 years, right, to double the GDP. More than 44 years to double the GDP, or something like that. It took a few decades, right, to double the GDP. So, again, what are we going to cut this in the public services? The security services, the prisons, the police, the sanitation. You get it? Because the interest we pay on the public debt has doubled, more than doubled, in just 3 years. Yes, due to COVID. Yes, due to the programs implemented during COVID. Yes, due to the COVID implemented programs to sustain the population. But nonetheless, the same mathematical financial principles applies to the public debt as to an individual citizen who might have a debt. If the interest only doubles while your salary only increases by a few percentile, automatically you have to reduce the spending. You cannot spend, you're going to go bankrupt. It's just how it is, financial mathematics, just the principles of it. So operating by the same principles, paradoxically, my debt refusion theory, the DRT, offers a solution. My DRT, debt refusion theory, or something very similar to it, has to be implemented ASAP. It's an emergency. So my DRT theory includes monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory was the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union, was the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union, was the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union, So that theory was implemented in the European Union. That financial theory was implemented in the European Union, right? That theory, that financial theory, the monetary integration theory. And the Germans destroyed their own national central banks. The Italians, they destroyed their lira. The Italians, the French, other countries destroyed their own national central banks. They do not have national central banks anymore. They do not have national central banks anymore. In Europe, they don't have those banks anymore in the European Union. They have different now. So that's what happened, right? They destroyed in the 90s, many decades ago, they destroyed their national central banks. So the Germans, the Italians, and their old currency, they annulled, or they got rid of them, they destroyed it. So my theory contains, in the DRT theory, in my debt refusion theory, is integrated monetary integration theory, which is the theory, financial theory, which the Europeans implemented. So we're going to take all public and private debt, my 10,000 included, your 10,000, my 10,000, yours, coast to coast, all the public and the private debt, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, all that debt, we're gonna convert it to US dollar. All the public private debt, Canada convert it to US dollar, and Canada first, but preferably at the same time establishing it with the United States, joint, like the establishment of the NHL, the PVHL, newly formed Professional Women's Hockey League, and the NBA, a joint binational. Because we don't need the border, it's better to just invest security coast to coast and in the ports, and do a census, everybody who's been living here since 2017 census, assess linguistic capabilities, assess origins, and whatever the case may be. That's what we need to do. So that is what we need to do. So we need to do that. So we need to implement the DRT, the debt refusion theory, right? The debt refusion theory. So doing that, that's what we need to do to implement that theory, the debt refusion theory, the debt refusion theory. You know, that's what we need to implement, the DRT. So all the debt, public and private debt, is going to be in the billions and trillions. All that money converted into US dollars, going to add it with the US, if they will, Mexico, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, and Cuba is a paradox, but it's part of North America. But Canada, US, Canada first. Canada, it's a must. We got to do it, Canada, because the king is absent. It's time for the Republic, the king is absent. It's time for the DRT. It's an emergency. There's no other way around it. Where we are now, you can argue all you want, but just the financial mathematics, the numbers, that's just how it is, you know. I know myself too. I have feelings, emotions. I cried and suffered and struggled, but now paradoxically, I put on the table, along with trillions of kisses, the DRT theory has to be implemented. Again, it has to be. There's no other way. The debt refusion theory. So all the debt, public and private, Canada, US, converted to US, all that money is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank. All the money is going to be the initial money supply and circulation for a new central bank. Whatever we call the bank, we're going to issue a new currency called the UE. U.universal, E.exchange, U.unit. U.universal, E.exchange, U.unit. U.universal, E.exchange, U.unit. The UE. U dot universal, U dot exchange, U dot unit. The universal exchange unit, the UE, the UE, the UE, the UE, U dot, U dot, U dot. The universal exchange unit, based on the value of the US dollar, we're going to set an interest rate level of 10%, 10%, 10%. It could be less than 10%, not more than 10% by principle. It could be 3.33, 7.18, 6.1, 9.3, 1.56, below 10%, not more. With all that money, we're going to be able to rebuild the infrastructure of the North American Collective, the bridges, the aqueducts, the sewers, build more hydroelectric dams here in Quebec and across the North American complex, North American Civilisation complex. You know, we're going to be able to mass finance citizens to workout train exercise, implement my workout training program system for fitness, credit some UEs for doing my workout training program system, mass finance tourism across North American Collective, to see Canada, to see the US citizens, because it's wellness me. That's when I went coast to coast, coast to coast, coast to coast. That changed my whole life. 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 When I crossed Canada coast to coast in 2017, that changed my whole life. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. I went in 2017, August and September. August, I went to BC, British Columbia, Vancouver, and then went all the way to, from BC, British Columbia, went, of course, all the way to Nova Scotia, Halifax in 2017. And that event made me come out of being depressed and suicidal, because I had an awakening. Said so many things to see, to do here in Quebec, Canada, North America. In North America, my home. Personally, I do not consider myself a member of a diaspora. This is my home, and said so many things. I established a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians. They are my family, Quebecers, Canadians, my family. North Americans included, because in the past life, just like George Patton, read that Troy Glass Darkly poem, one of my favorite poems, where George Patton believes in reincarnation, and many mystics, such as myself, do. I was born in the USA post 1776 3 times, once as a woman, twice as a man. When I was born as a man, I served in the same United States Armed Forces, 2 different wars, 156 years apart. 2 different wars, 156 years apart. 2 different wars, 156 years apart, you know. So that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get doing, you know. So it's something which we gotta be thinking about, we gotta be implementing, and we have to implement the DRT, debt fusion. It's an emergency. There's no way other than my DRTT or something very, very similar. Again, this is also much of the public and the private. And my dream, the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, is fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership. The North American Collective, the Democratic Republic, the Dragon Army, North American Integrated Defense Force, for security service and defense and rebirth only, for security service and defense and rebirth only, for security service and defense and rebirth only. And the DGA, the Dancing Goddess Army, the DGA, the Dancing Goddess Army, the DGA, the Dancing Goddess Army, the North American Integrated Dance League, the North American Integrated Dance League, the North American Integrated Dance League, you know. There's 2 complementary covenant cooperative public-private partnership institutions which we gotta find, lay the foundations by the DRT and the CIT, Citizen Integration Tree, and the DFT, Democratic Fusion Tree, by the 4th Dimension LOV. Again, this is just where we are now. As I love coming here, feel refreshed, and just gonna on the mountain, Mount Royal, my second home here, top the mountain, Mount Royal, my mistress. Play that black, white, and rainbow. The DRT, Tetrafusion 2, my brothers and sisters, is the only solution. There's no other way around it. Pledge your allegiance to our family, and come ski a little bit, and we're gonna have to say a little bit of French because we hear our belle province, but generally that's what it is. And got a bit on that wind, a bit on that cool side, and encouraging all to work out training exercise. We're going to also be able, with that money, by the implementation of my DRT theory, debt fusion theory, the DRT will also going to be able to mass finance, not just tourism and fitness, but to build, construct 44 tunnels, build and construct 44 tunnels. The number after 43 following 45 is 44 tunnels, inspired by the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, and the Montreal Underground underground village, and based on one of my protocols, theories, and documents which I've written more than 7 years ago and continued to, after 2019, November, October, when I concluded that humanity is set again to go towards an international conflagration of World War III. And of course, that's when I predicted the World War III scenario. And of course, back then I predicted the World War III scenario. And I've written before that a document entitled the Citizen Integrated Public-Private Partnership Initiative for the Protocols of the Construction Tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war. So we're going to build those 44 tunnels in case of a nuclear war for the continuity and the survival of the North American civilizational complex, to survive a World War III situation, to survive a World War III scenario in case of a thermonuclear war. To build and stack them up with cans of food, lots of food and sanitation and food products, and build mega eternal complexes across North America. That's my DRT theory. And coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Let's get rid of the border and make a common passport and the European Union and my protocols, initiatives, And of course to operate strictly and foremost the Dragon Army only and only for defense, security and service, for defense, security and service, for defense, security and service, only for defense, security and service, and only strictly for defense, security and service. Got kisses by the trillions, got kisses by the trillions, and that's what it is with that. Got kisses by the trillions, so that's what we need to get doing with that, and that's what we need to get doing on the go, So super important here to come exercise, and it's always fun to see people working out and encourage all people to work out, train, exercise. And I'm glad that when I go back home, I'm gonna have some good food, and thank you for the donation, farmers, LOV, to the farmers, the truckers, the firefighters now on the road, truckers going east, west, north, south, the train conductors, public bus drivers, those flipping some burgers, some cheeseburgers, making some food preparation, delivering some food, some pizzas. I see you, see you, see you. See the nurses, see the doctors, public sanitation workers, those cleaning workers, doing some of that cleaning. Let's get that North American Collective Workers Party. Let's get that North American Collective Workers Party. Let's get that North American Collective Workers Party. Let's get that North American Collective Workers Party here from the mountain, my second home. And this is gonna put an extra layer because it's getting a little bit on the cold side for the year. So just gonna make a protocol to just put something extra layers. Hold on.